with 4.3, a lot more questions coming up, a lot more for us to take a look at a little closer and see what's similar and see what's different. So what I wanted to do today, which is a very good topic, was the analysis tab. Where are you hiding? With the advent of 4.3, we no longer have the traditional layout with the 5 ribbons across the top. That's gone. Things have been shifted and moved around. As many of you that have already dabbled with the product have learned with 4.3, we live and die in the report viewer window, and we're using what's called the, we have the main side panel and the main build panel, names which we've had discussions in prior sessions as well. It's like, where did they come up with those names? Well, that's what it is right now for that part of it. So we're going to get in and we're going to basically show you where all the analysis tab features went to. The analysis was the #1 tab you wanted to go to because it had things like your local filtering, your grouping, your breaking, your sorting, all of your calculation functions and so on were in there, conditional formatting. All of that was built right off of the one single analysis tab. And I've always addressed that as being the most important one. It's got the advanced functions with a lot of additional flexibility. Well, needless to say, we still have all that. Some of it's together, some of it's been moved around a little bit. And my job today, in about 30 minutes or so here, is to kind of familiarize with you and show you where it is now. And some of it will be pretty straightforward. Some of it, things you got to try to remember. I always say when you're in any type of session, take some good notes on it as part of that as well. So, but I have a little sheet that I put together, a little grid sheet here that I'm going to pop up that I use. It kind of highlights the 2 main panels, the main side panel and the main build panel here that you see. And that's what we're going to be working and looking at. That's where a lot of the stuff's at. I developed a couple little cheat sheets that I think help as well. But for the presentation, this will be good stuff as well. So let's just gen up something real quick. We'll get into Webby. And launch this out. And we'll be building, build my little report here real quick, which will only take a minute or two. It gives us an opportunity to see the new look and feel. Some of you, this may be your first peek at 4.3, the flow through pattern, which kind of moves left to right now. The new data source window comes up, a little bit different with 4.3 SP2. We have the left side here and the right side options as well. We have a new feature called bringing in a web intelligence document. That's a 4.3 feature. I know Samuel Polachek, developer, was really excited about that. For the first time, we can actually use a report as a data provider source. A lot of other options as well. We'll just stick with universes as we're all used to. We'll get in with the several of the classic ones that we use. We'll go to eFashion, gen up something real quick, and then we can get into the main part of this. Where are those analysis tab features that are out there? Again, the query panel, pretty laid out, pretty similar to what you're used to seeing before. Okay, you always like to highlight what's similar, but also what's different. So you got to know, where do I need to concentrate on and where can I go a little light? And go a little light in this area because it's pretty laid out the same way. So we'll just do a simple example. Get this over here. Just gen up a few objects in there that we can use. And we'll do it from there. We'll bring that in there as well. And we'll bring in all the measures minus the discount, some of the neat little features up here that allow us to delete it directly on there. So we're ready to roll. We'll run this. Okay. And now we're in the report viewer window, the traditional window where you spend most of your time. I always like to say that, usually 90–95% of your time is spent in the report viewer window. Okay. Over on the right side here, let me see if I can move these windows out of the way here. Put them down towards the bottom. We'll still leave them in there. We have our 2 primary. Here's the main side panel. That can be turned on or off right over here. And you always want that one on. And here's what we call the main build side panel. And it's the second section. And this is where you tend to spend most of your time with a couple different options over here. Here's the element data side, and this is the element format side, and another option that we'll talk about later on as well. So here's my document that was created, my report block. Okay, let's grab it and move it. Again, just some of the behavioral things that I'm hoping they'll give us a little more control over later. We'll scroll back up to here. I'll move this title over here for right now. And now we've got our report and we're basically ready to go. I'm going to take one of the columns out. So mainly because we don't need it right now. If we want to bring it in later on, we can. So what I need to do is I'm going to take one single column out. A couple different ways to do that. We're all used to working on the blocks, dragging things in and out and moving around. But over on the right side here, as long as I've got anything within that block highlighted here, You get the whole block highlighted. You can go up to the top up here, and off of the build side panel that's here, we're going to select the option for data. And this is the feed, what I call the feeder panel, but feed panel here to open it up. And it allows me to basically do all kinds of maintenance to my block, move things up and down, delete them. There's properties and stuff in there as well. I don't need the quarter, so we'll take it out. Right? Yeah, you know, you're all used to doing it right on the report block. I could have highlighted the column. The old classic right click with the drop down window comes up with the shortcuts and all, and it could take it out that way. So it's 6 of one, half dozen the other. But I try to, since I'm working over here most of the time anyways, let's try to do it all in this area here, make it a little bit easier. So we'll clear that out, that one column. And then let's start talking about some of the reporting functions and where they've gone to. You got a sneak preview a minute ago. Here it is up on the upper right-hand side here. This is the build side panel here, as opposed to the main side. Here you basically got your query and objects in whatever order. And, you know, you've got your report structure map. Here's one for the report map, and so on along the way. What we're concerned about are the primary reporting functions that you see right here, somewhat disguised in part as well. So the first thing you might want to do on this block is probably break it. Breaks are very common. Probably one of the more powerful, most widely used feature is the break. We're used to seeing it on the analysis tab somewhere in the middle. Well, now you see it over on the right, providing you're on the element data side as opposed to the element format side. It does make a difference. So my little cheat sheet for me helps me remembering I got to be on this path, not on this path. So I'm seeing more of the structural components I want to add in. So the first thing we traditionally would do, let's take a look all the way across. I've got local filters, which we're used to, sorting, ranking, and our good old break. Custom sorting, not seen over here. Wait a minute, where did custom sorting go? Let's go over to the right side here. And as you move over to the right here, you can see that we can click the gray dots over here for this one. And we have the ability to group it or do a custom order. So now we see there's two functions that have been moved, two functions that are kind of hidden. You don't see them right here now, but as I move over to the right side on these different options and click on the gray dots, I have the manage group or custom order. We'll take a look at that one as well as later. Now, why do I highlight them? Because we're used to seeing them across one single analysis toolbar across the top. Very left edge would be the filters and so on down the line. So let's do more traditional way. Typically, one of the first things you would do to your reports are apply breaks at one or more levels. Well, we can do that here as well, as you notice. As long as I've got the block highlighted or individual column highlighted so that I am on the data, the element data side as opposed to the element format. I want the data side. I can come down into here and I can work my way across, and we'll pick the break option right here, display the break panel. And it traditionally comes back with breaks on lines, and you have to add a break. You'll see something similar for sorting and ranking and so on, a very similar type of construct that comes out. Now remember, custom sorting we do over here and grouping we do over here. We'll come back to those later. So I want to add a break. What do I need to do? Select the down arrow, say let's add a break for year. I could do 2 if I wanted them grouped. Usually if you're going to group them, you need to have potentially 3 or more for it to really work correctly. We'll just do one level only. We'll do that. We'll add that simple break into the report that way. If I had done it on the report over here and done a shortcut on this one, it's going to ultimately put me over here anyways to this section, because that's where we do all of our adding and manipulating and playing with it and so on. All right. Notice automatic subtotals. That was a 4.2 feature, carried over to 4.3 as we all hoped it would. Unfortunately, get the overflow for that one, but try to see if I can get it just right to widen it. So, but that's an automatic feature that carried over. Okay. Get your automatic breaks for that one as well. While we're in there, then let's talk about it since it is different. Let's finish the break section. We can kind of work our way systematically through the remaining ones, you know, with the time window that we have for this as well. So over here to year, you said, well, I want to look at the old manage breaks. Remember how we manage break, manage group, manage sort, manage all of these different categories. Well, we have that same thing here. When I go to year, I go to settings now instead. And there's your display properties, which is the old manage breaks that we saw at 4.2. Your break header, your break footer, the apply, the sort, value-based break. I might warn you on this one, we're having a problem. One of the, what the SAP would call an undocumented feature, and I call it a bug. Value-based break currently is not working, but there is a patch in for that one already. And of course, your duplicate values, if you wanted to merge it across the break, it's all in here. Okay, start on a new page and so on. So it's a very similar construct. It's properties now, instead of manage break, it's display properties. If I made any changes, I would have made them there as well. Okay, so that took care of the breaks. I could have more than one break. If I would have highlighted 2 at the same time, it would have done it as a group, the 2 together. And any breaks would be combined at the footer level with the combination of the two as opposed to the one, but we kept it a little bit simpler with just a single one that's here as well. Okay, so that was our first level break. Now let's introduce another one that people like to use, the good old ranking button right next door. We'll kind of stay in a rather systematic order as we go through that. I want to rank in that report. Now there's an old rule that you want to follow. It's come across many, many versions from old desktop to Webby, through all the web iterations or whatever else. Generally, if you're going to be doing a ranking and a ranking together, the normal way you're going to do it is you're going to break on the higher level dimension, but always rank on the lower. In this case, you can see it makes more sense because of the detail level we're at to rank the states rather than rank the years. Yeah, you could, but now it's going to look a little bit funny in the display. So we'd want to go into the state level and use that one over here. And we're going to go over and select the ranking button. Okay. And just like we did with breaks, it comes back not with the ranking window, but with the add rank option. Now we have to add it in and we have to pick, we're going to base this one on sales revenue. It's the old adage we had a long time ago with this. Okay, with this one, you always want to select the measure that you're basing on it, but you want to make sure it's a measure that's in the report block, right? So if I had brought discount in and not played it in the report, but brought it along over here and done it based on that, it really wouldn't make much sense. You don't have the ability to verify it, confirm based on that result. So you have that flexibility as well. So there's our sales revenue. Now, do I want top or bottom? What if I want top two? So we're doing it in a little different format. And we're basing it on sales revenue, and it's for state within that group. And here's your good old count. We're not doing a count, we're doing a percentage, or you do cumulative versions as well. And if you work with those, you know they work very, very well. So now I'm applying a ranking at the state level within each year. It's exactly what we wanted it to do. We'll click the OK button on it. Okay. Now we're getting the top three with each and every group that's there, as we'd expect it to see. I think it's picked top two rather than top three on that one. But lo and behold, there we go. We'll activate the whole block. And we had to activate the block so that we could revisit, all right, on the feeder side here, we can visit our functions that we're used to using here. There's a little dot that tells you that the ranking's turned on, okay? So if you wanted to remove it, you could come in here and say, no, let's get it out of here, or I could change it, but we wanted to remove it now at this particular point and do it that way. As I've done many times in presentations over the years with Webby across many different versions and whatever else, when we're doing the ranking, we always want to try to rank at the lower level, but break on the higher level, being very careful as we did the measure. So just kind of reiterate a very important point for those as well. The other important point is the ranking also has a sister feature. It's called a function. So the formulas, variables, and function library, which by the way, has also changed. Maybe a future topic for us to do is the new layout of the building formulas, variables, and using the functions as well. Okay, so there is a rank function that's still available, just like before in 4.2. The advantage of using the rank function, it's simple. It takes basically the rank function and a measure, and then you could sort it, and it makes life a whole lot easier. It gives you a little more information. So that's still the carryover from what you did in 4.2. Same in 4.3 with the ranking. I can use the rank function and create a local variable as opposed to using the rank feature here, where I'm kind of dynamically doing it right on the fly. And again, one of the disadvantages of doing it this way is it does not give you a relative ranking number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It never has. All right, it never has. So you said, well, I need that. I want that. I want it to behave differently. Well, I would not use this one, but instead I would create a new local variable. Local variables are created right up here. There's a create a new variable here. It brings up that particular window for us. It's laid out a little differently, but let's not get into that today. We have a limited time window, so let's make sure we cover all of our bases in here as well. Notice the little counter had a 1 to show that we have 1 break. A 2 would be 2 breaks. It's going to have a little dot to show that it's on or off, and you're not going to have more than 1 rank in a block anyways from a logical perspective. What about sorting? Oh, let's do sorting. We click on the sort, the column we want. We come over here for the sorting. Now, this is kind of a different way that it does it. When you click it, and you have to add a sort, just like we had to add a rank or add a break, very similar way. Okay, I can go in and say, well, let's do a sort on year. And automatically comes back with the sort, but it displays a little icon, which is the sort ascending icon. Looking at it the first time, you say, well, where's the other one? Where's the one for doing it the opposite way? Well, you click on it, and it toggles back and forth, and you get it to go. Now it does it in reverse order from high to low and descending order. Automatically reflects it on the column in the report as well, in the report block itself. Okay, so all the same. Oh, a little tidbit for you as well. Typically, if you're trying to click around in here, you want to click the whole block because you want to activate all of it, and you're not there. One of the cleanest ways to do that is just click in the white area and then go in along the very edge of the block. And 99% of the time, it should highlight the whole block, which opens up the build side panel with the feeder option here as well. And it gives us all that content, all those options very easily as well. So you can see the sorting as well could be done on any and all columns. You're not limited. I still hear every now and then when I'm doing a training class, I hear from somebody saying, well, you can sort on dimensions, but you can't sort on measures. Oh, yes, you can. Absolutely. That hasn't changed. It's always been that way as well. So we've got 1, 2, 3 out of the way. We do have our sort. However, let's stop for a second for sorting and let's do the following. Okay. Let's take a look at how do I do a custom sort? What if I want to do a custom sort on my states? Okay. We'll go over to the right side in here. Remember, this is where two things are done here and that are new. Our grouping function, which has been around a while, and our custom sorting. So for each state, rather, I can click the gray dots and I can say, let's manage the order. This is a whole new layout for the order. Look at the new window. This is pretty common across all areas of the product. If you get the query panel level, looking at query filters, same thing. Now it gives you a nice ability here. You can highlight it here and you can use the arrows to move them up and down, reset the order and so on, and put them in whatever custom order you want. The old classic one on that I always end up getting questions on is the old January through December. If you have month defined in your universe or in a local variable, and it comes up as the Jan, Feb, Mar, it's going to put it in alphabetic order. It does not recognize month name as being date related as it used to do in the desktop. So for that one, you almost have to. There's other tricks as well for hiding, but from a general perspective, that's your custom sort, and you can reset it as well. So again, in a different place. All right. So now let's move over to the filter option here, display the filter. This one I found a little odd, but the way it works is maybe I want to filter on year, maybe I want to filter on state, or I could filter on year, and whatever combination, doesn't matter. We'll do year just for simplicity's sake. We'll go up again, we'll click the filter button. All right, it says drop an object in from the list for filters that you want to filter on. Let's filter on state. We'll drag it right into the window. And it brings it up automatically, then it'll and in the second or third or fourth. And I can pick the ones that I want in this particular, maybe I want state of California, Colorado, and Texas, picking the warmer spots, but that's okay. And my filter gets applied automatically. And you can see a little dot up here that once again denotes that you have a filter. Here they are. And if you wanted to come in, click on those to change it. Okay. I can change the values. I could manage the filters in there if I wanted to as well. In the manage filter window, maybe I want to get rid of the filter completely. So I have the ability to come up here and just delete it out completely. Say goodbye. And you'll notice too, the OK and apply generally, if you go into any one of these different types of windows, they tend to stay grayed out unless you change something. And if you don't change anything, it often gets frustrating. You got to remember to cancel then in that particular case. Just minor little, you learn a lot of little behavioral tricks the more you delve into the product that you're seeing me do here as part of this as well. You can see there's a little dot for the filter in there, which technically it should have taken that out, but we removed the filter. We're displaying all of ours in that particular case as well. So you can see here's 4 out of them. Now the next one that often comes in is where are those funny little functions? Where's my sum, count, average, min, max, percent? Well, the subtotal came around automatically, so we expected that, okay? So by the way, if you want your grand totals on the bottom here for this, just like in 4.2, we'd have to go over to the format side up here, and we have to click at the block level here for this one. And let me move my way across. I always got to find this one. This one always throws me for a loop. We've got our appearance settings in here. It won't be the text one. It'll be this one on the end. Nope, I'm off one on that one. Where did it? I always go through this when I'm looking for this particular one. Just display it. Oh, I'll do it another way. We'll just click on the white area itself. And I click in the white area here. Up here, here's my report header and footer. The footer's actually turned on there. So it would take care of it automatically for that one. So minor little change. Well, let me get out of this one here completely for this one. So let me go back up here. So now let's talk a little bit about the group function. I live and die with that is one of the really slick features. No matter what version of the product I'm working in, whatever else, I always have fun with the group function, especially with considering the alternatives and if then else expression, which can get real screwy as well. So what if I wanted to group together the states? Okay, well, 2 things that have moved over to here, okay, custom order and grouping. So if we're going to group the states together, we'll come in and we'll, instead of managing the order, we'll manage the groups. Obviously, these could be edited as to be geographic by definition, and we can quick check to make sure that they convert properly for us. We're going to go to Manage Groups. We'll give that group a name, just like we would do before. Some similarity, some difference to earlier version. That's what I like to highlight as part of that. Okay, so I've got my region defined. The description boxes, which came in 4.2 world, I think it was SP6, where we can now put in comments and things. Why are those important? They're important here. They're important when you do formulas or variables in particular and so on, because those are the self-help messages that pop up whenever you're moving along in the product. Okay, you need that self-help to make it a little easier for people to be able to find their way through. So you want to keep that in mind. Try to put in some type of descriptive information as well. What we're doing here could have been done as an if then else expression, but the group makes it so much easier to do. Creating that if statement, use an in list and a list of values and all. If you follow what I'm saying, you've done this before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So in this particular case, let's just throw a couple quick groups in here that we want to see. Let's say I wanted to take California and Colorado, just group those together. Just like before, I can highlight them. Okay, you can do filter values if you don't want to do. But notice the groupings down here. Fortunately, I just came off teaching 4.3 recently. I jumped between the two versions, and it drives me crazy because then if I came in off of 4.2, I'm going up here and it's not here. Where is it? Well, I'm in 4.3. It's down here. So a lot of up and down. They flip-flop, run the queries, the page numbers, and things like that. Well, same here. I go down to the bottom to do my grouping. I call that group maybe just West. West Coast would work, I guess. It remembers me from a prior time when I was doing this. And we'll hit the enter for that one. And if I wanted, I could take my DC and my Florida. No, I don't want Florida. The Massachusetts and the New York. Once again, it's down here, not up here. The move to and ungroup are all down here. So we've got to train our brain to look down, not up. In other cases, to look up and not down for this one. So we'll group that one together as well. We'll call that Northeast or just North. Northeast will work, I guess, if I can get it all in there. We'll hit the enter key for it as well. And I can ungroup values, and so we'll get to that in a minute later as well. And maybe I take Florida and Texas. We group those together. For simplicity's sake, we'll just call it Southeast or South. I guess South will work for right now. Put in a name for that one. And what I love is about the fact that the grouping allows you to do single values easily. In the old desktop days, it was a real interesting little trick you had to do to get single values. And I always found that frustrating. Well, I can even do a single value here. I can group it together. And being it's from the Midwest, I will call it Midwest or just mid, just to simplify the typing process. And now I've got them all defined. What about ungroups? Just like before. If they're ungrouped, they're going to by default be visible. But we want them automatically grouped. So when I do the automatically grouped, it says give me a name for it. We'll use others for it. Game, set, match, we're done. So I have a trap to catch all those that don't fall into any of these. So once again, makes it really nice for us as well. Look, and I can move them up and down with the maintenance up here, which used to be down here, and do all of my grouping right out of the gate here, doing okay on it. And lo and behold, there's the group. Now notice, again, behavioral difference, little behavioral difference. It grouped it, created the variable name, but it didn't do it directly in the report. Why? Because we weren't in the report. It's created separately over here on the main side panel. So now I just got to grab region. Now I can drag it all the way across, or if I activate the block by just selecting it, or an individual column, I can take the build panel, feeder panel side right here, and there, notice all my objects. And I can say, all right, let's take the region. We're going to drag the region up here and put it ahead of the state. There's a little thin line, not the solid to replace it, but right in between here. You can also, I could have dropped it at the bottom and used the arrows that come up here. It gives you the arrows to move up and down as well to reorder things up along the way. And there's now I've got my region and my state, but I don't want the state anymore. We'll just delete it over here from the feeder section. Again, this is, you've got the feeder side and the format side. That's the best way to remember those two. And it gives you everything kind of sorted out in one of two situations as you go through it. And now they are automatically grouped together. Of course, those can be edited. I can go in here and edit that one right in here. I can say, let's go in and either delete, edit, rename, we'll edit it. I can make any modifications to it and whatever I want along the way. Okay. So you can see very clearly they've done some shifting and moving and put stuff around a little bit in different spots, but for the most part, it's pretty close together. Biggest thing we got to watch out for is making sure that we're on the element data side rather than the element format. And I'm really good. I've gotten one of the first things I learned working with 4.3 a long time ago was using these two to drive it through. This comes into reformatting if you were doing an Excel file and you had to reformat one of the columns and whatever can be used for that, but it's not part of what I wanted to cover today. So if you look at it, basically most of what I need is here. I always talked about the big three. Being from Detroit, obviously, it had a car connotation, but the big three to me are always break, sort, and filter. Those three are going to drive most reports that you do. Ranking, yeah, that's a little bit extra. Grouping them, custom ordering, things are different. But those are the three that you can live and die with. Break in particular is the number one, because when you throw breaks into a report that might have had some ranking, sorting, and so on, the breaks will cause things to get realigned within the break groups automatically, which is good. You learn how the behavior of it is, and you are good to go. And we can come back in here. You can see there's one break, there's one sort, there's no filters right now, there's no ranking, or there'd be a little dot in there, and I can work my way through those. Oh, calculations, one last thing, and we'll wrap up with that. Okay. If I wanted to apply, let's just highlight the sales revenue column. Usually when you're doing your sum, count, min, max, percent, we always do those on a specific column. For measures, just like in earlier versions, you can't multi-select the columns and apply some of the options, the reporting functions that we'll cover in a minute. But if you right click on in the column over here, and you're going to go to what's called footer calculations. Get used to it, gang. That's the new name for it. Footer calculations. Count, min, max, sum, average, percent. We'll do a percent. Add a percent in there. I love the percent feature. That to me is another one of those little tiny features that Webby has that's so powerful. When you do a percentage, you get the percentage for that year against all 4 years, but you also get the individual row percentages here collectively add up to 100 for the rows of data that are within that block. Now, again, I hadn't taken out the state reference, so I just left the region in just to have something different. And again, to turn all those off, same thing as before, as long as I'm in the block, I want to make sure I'm in that particular column. We go to footer calculations, just get used to that fact. Just like before, if it's checked and I select it, it will uncheck it, flip-flop it the other way. And there you go. So the footer calculations kind of tucked way underneath. But the other options, most of the reporting functions are here. And as we learned with the grouping and the custom ordering, it goes over there. So, all right. So I apologize. I thought I had that turned off. So get that out of there. So I'm going to stop at this point. I always like to stay within a half-hour window, as close to that as we can, so I don't overdo it with you, but at the same time, give you an opportunity for some questions. Anybody? Paul, we getting any coming in?
No, we've had a little bit of dialogue, people asking about, differences training. I mean, what are your thoughts in terms of, how much people need in terms of web intelligence from 4.2 to 4.3 to really master it? It seems as though people who are experienced, hate it at first, and then after a week, they'll never go back again.
That's a very good observation. Yeah. Yeah. When you're training on it, the thing that I've had to watch out for is with the group is making sure that they come in from the old version to the new version, not for the brand new people. For the brand new people, they don't know. So, there's nothing venture, nothing gain there. But the old crew is just highlighting like I did. Well, you had the analysis tab, you had your 5, 6, 7 functions. Let's look where they are here, just kind of a higher level view. There's 4 or 5 in here, a couple scattered over here, and 1 over here. And then kind of let them shake it all out from there, just to remind them. Because once you've got them up there, you're still going to be doing the properties over here on the right side for those. Just a matter of getting people reorientated to where things are. We got spoiled with the analysis tab. It was all on one single tab or ribbon, I guess. We better call it the correct Microsoft name, ribbon. So just highlighting it, making sure for example, with breaks. Well, where's the manage breaks? Well, it's been replaced. Now what do we do with it? Instead, we select the properties button here for its settings for that one to change it. But there's our pop-up window that we're used to seeing. So that's what I would look out for most of all.
Okay, so questions starting to come in. In Desky, I think the Java version of Webby, we used to have row counts for the query. Are row counts still there or gone?
Row count. You have a count function, but that's the only one I'm thinking of. I'm not sure beyond that. Let me, footer calculations. All I can think of would be a count if we were counting a column.
Yeah.
That's what I think we're talking about. That's automatic with the format, with the footer calculation. The difference is would be count. Now, what happened is they're using a count or a count all. by default, it does a count distinct for you. So it counted 1. To me, the row count would be, it'd be correct if it's 1 because you duplicates only get counted 1 time. If I convert this function to an all through the formula section on it, then it gives me a count of 4, for all 4 of them that are there. That would be the only thing I could think of that they were referring to. So
Okay. Another question. Apologies if you already mentioned it, but is there still an equivalent of the advanced sorting option?
well, the advanced sorting option that I mentioned, when you see the sort button up here, you might as well get used to the fact you can do one of 2 things, ascending or descending. All right. So if I select the sorting on a column that I really should make sure I'm in a column. Let's put it in maybe in the year column where it makes more sense. And I want to do a sort up here for it. Okay. By default, when I do that, it does a descending. Then I can click and make it a ascending by flipping around that way. Okay. But the advanced button was used specifically for doing custom order. And I showed you a couple minutes ago, when we went over to here to put these in a custom order, we select custom order for it. And I briefly walk through it, and that's how you would do it. So a similar way, but off to the right side there, kind of buried in this main side panel, which I hope they rename those.
Okay. Okay, so where is the conditional formatting located? Also, can you show where you can edit the SQL?
Well, editing SQL is something that's done at the query panel level, not at the report viewer. So I could go back there, okay, but we're going back to a different world. We're going back to the data provider source side of it. In here, and there's your add query for adding another query. Here's the view script button up here to view the script, and you'll get the script comes up just like before that you had there. So that's still the same that way. All right, let me just go over to the other side. Now, the other question was the conditional formatting. Yeah, it's not on the main analysis tab, all right? So conditional formatting, what you have to do is you have to highlight your column, and there's 2 places you can go for conditional formatting. You can go up here. There's an option for it up here, and it's under this one here. For formatting rules, that opens up the formatting rules window, and then you would add your new rule. You'd give it a name and all that. However, the problem is when you're done, it's not automatically turned on. You have to go back and you can't turn it on from up here. So if you go in within the column itself and you go into here and you choose the formatting rules this way, it's the same as the one on top with one exception. Because I have it sales revenue highlighted, it will immediately apply it. So I don't have to go back, even if I created it up here, and then I'd still have to come down here and select the option for that one to turn it on or off. When you go to formatting rules right here, I think it's a little cleaner. You add your rule in, or you can edit it, or you can duplicate it, whatever. Just like before, your name and your add conditions, your conditions. For the first time ever, the window can be stretched. Could never do that. What did you have to do? You had to scroll the window. That was a pain in the neck to me. You're scrolling up and down. You got up to 6 different condition statements, which is the max. You got to scroll up and down to try to find them. The other thing that I like about this in 4.3, a big issue you often run into if you've done this, if you're trying to insert a stoplight or some type of icon, some image, maybe a thumbs up or thumbs down, and you have a blank cell for it off to the right side of, maybe it's a master detail report, okay? If it's a blank cell that you assign and then you highlight it, you could not, first of all, couldn't open it up. You had to deselect in order to create the rule to turn it on. And secondly, even if you did and you went in, you tried to insert an object in the background, which you can do. Let me show you. So if I sales revenue greater than, I'll just pick 20,000. I don't know. What's important, you go to format, okay? We go to background. And because I'm inserting something, it doesn't matter whether I change the text to the background other than I'm going to bring in a file. So I'm going to come into the file side here and I'm going to do an add. I'm going to add it in. Now that was problematic in 4.2 and earlier. You'd run out of memory. Just wasn't enough memory allocated. And if you brought in 2 or 3 JPEG files, you might upload the first one and the second and third wouldn't get uploaded automatically. It would overflow on it. So it just wouldn't work. So we would resort to taking those and downsizing. And we took all of our stoplights, for example, converted them to PNG files. And I can upload 4 or 5 of those in here, one at a time, and I never have an issue. So they fixed that problem. And so it works a little cleaner that way. And again, even if you have a blank cell that you've highlighted, you can come in now and still create the rule for it. You don't have to deselect. Those are a couple of very critical changes that came in that I've noticed, because I like doing things with conditional formatting for a couple of different reasons. So, to that extent, they've really done a nice job cleaning it up.
Back to the sorting. can we have a priority of different sorts?
Priority of different sorts. No, not that I'm aware of. When your sort options really are what you have here. Creating a, that's custom order would be the only thing for the sorting for that one that I can think of, but not a priority. You know what? I'm going to look into that one. I don't know of anything official that I've seen. I've been through many, many versions, especially with Webby, but let me see it priority-wise if there is. What if there's some way we could do that? I'll have to do follow up on that one. Good question.
And then another question: when you're delivering training, showing the differences between 4.2 and 4.3, is it better to have both versions open and show, well, this is it in 4.2 and now this is it, how you do the same thing in 4.3, or is it easier just to refer to it and work primarily in 4.3?
If you have the ability to post both up at the same time with an experienced group, then yes, I would do that. For a new group of users, no. Obviously, they're not going to know about the older version, but they are with the newer version for that. I guess there could be an exception there, is if they're going to be working with reports that were all, well, no, still it's the same. You're going to be using the new version. But for an experienced group, if you can have both up, absolutely would be best. Absolutely would be a better way to do it, because then they can see it very directly.
Okay. Can you sort by year and then by region?
Absolutely. There's an automatic priority scheme based on the order you originally did them in. So for me, what would make the most sense for me is to get rid of all my sorts, because I didn't know which one I did first, second, or third. So now I could do a year sort. If I wanted to here, I could go in and let's do a descending and add the sort here. All right, let's put year in there. I just got to remember to, oh, here we go, add it in here. We're going to add year in for the first sort. And then we'll have to make sure we designate, instead of ascending, I want it descending. Okay. Then I'm going to come up and add a second sort here. So we'll click the down arrow and we'll do a second sort on region, which is a variable now, local variable. And now I can do ascending or maybe descending on that one. So now it's done in year order and then in state and then in region order. Any order, you can do them any order you want, but you have to remember it's the order you originally did them. And if you didn't undo them going back, it's going to do it within the level you're already at. So you got to pay real close attention in this particular case. For example, if I wanted to do region first and then year, I'm going to have to unset that one, and this one would take priority, which would reorder them. Then I could add this one back in after this one was in place. So be very careful about the order. Then it works great. Just get them in the right order.
Yeah, an interesting question just came in. Said, with the reports on 4.2 be automatically created and working in 4.3? Yes, they don't really change at all. It's just the tool itself, the UI, that's different. The reports are exactly the same.
We've got tons of them that we've moved up and had no issues with them.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's no migration to do. There's no real conversion. In some cases, a lot of people aren't even doing regression testing, because if you're on a high enough version of 4.2, SP 5, 6 and above, there were no changes to the calculation engine. So really, the report should run exactly the same in 4.3.
Yeah.
In Webby 4.3. Okay. Another one just came in. Can you change your report's default layout positions so you don't have to remove rows 1 and 3 and column A when you export to Excel?
I would have to look into that. Once you get into exporting and all that, I'd have to take a closer look at it and experiment. I know many conversations I've had with Samuel Polachek, the developer, we talked about exporting and is there a way we can improve it and have more control over it? And the vendors, both Microsoft and SAP, it's, it's not in their interest necessarily to make it better to go that route. So they don't add a lot of in the way of enhancements there. So.
Okay. Well, I think we got through the whole list of questions. Thank you so much, Michael, and thank you again. That was a very interesting and great presentation there, and shows people, yep, there's some things to learn here with Webby 4.3. So that's great.